Today we'll be conducting an experiment which proves whether or not plants give off oxygen.
So, my name is Montek.
My name is Yash.
And we will be the ones conducting this experiment for you today.
Okay, so let's get started. The purpose of this lab is to prove whether or not plants give off oxygen. Some background information we have is that plants intake carbon dioxide, CO2, and with the help of water, H2O, and photons of light energy from the sun, go through a process called photosynthesis and create their own food.
We are also told that oxygen is the byproduct of photosynthesis, and we will be investigating this in our experiment. So the question today that we're going to answer is whether or not plants give off oxygen.
So the independent variable within our experiment is the plant, and the dependent variables are the little candles.
So our hypothesis is that if plants give off oxygen, then the jar with the candle and the plant will stay lit for longer because the oxygen from the plant will fuel the flame.
Okay, so now we'll just list our materials that we need to conduct this experiment. So first of all, we need 2 jars, and preferably they have to be glass so we can see through
and the same size.
Check the oxygen.
And we need matches and candles, of course, because that's one of the main things in the experiment.
And we also need a piece of cardboard just to make sure that the jars are completely sealed. So the first step is to take the 2 jars and unscrew their lids and put them upside down. The second step is to take the plant and put it inside one of the jars. During this step, please make sure that the plant is upright so as to not take the flame out of the candle. The fourth step is to put the 2 little candles into position and light them on fire. Please make sure that there's a steady flame so we can continue the experiment. The 5th step is to put the jars on top of the candles and continue with the experiment. Now we have to observe the jar with the plant to make sure that it burns longer.
So the purpose of this experiment was basically if the candle with the jar in the if the candle with the plant inside the jar burns for longer, this means that since the plant is providing oxygen for the candle to burn, and this jar should die out faster because it has no plant, which means it has no oxygen to fuel it.
So as you can see, the jar without the plant candle died out, and the jar with the plant
also died out.
Stayed burning until
a later time.
Yeah.
So this was our
experiment.
We have another way to prove our fact.
We have to put a glass with the plant inside and submerge it into the water, and we will be observing the top of the glass to see if it collected bubbles or not. If it does, then this means that the plant gave off oxygen and it was being collected at the top in the form of oxygen bubbles. For this experiment, we have to turn the glass sideways to make sure that there is no air already trapped inside the glass. Now we have to observe the container fill with water until we see bubbles forming or not, to conclude whether or not the plant did really give off oxygen. Right now, we're shining light onto the plant to do a fake simulation of photosynthesis. Here is a close-up shot of the glass, and you can clearly make out that there are some air bubbles around the surface. So, in our discussion, we would like to say that after observing our main experiment of the flame in jars and the bonus experiment of the water, we observed that plants do give off oxygen in a form of either bubbles in the water and as a in indirect form of causing the flame to stay lit for long.
So we would like to conclude this experiment by saying that plants indeed do give oxygen.
And that our hypothesis was correct.
Thank you for watching our video.